Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Glad to have everybody. We have a fantastic speaker today. We have Mr. Sam Castillo from The Rock Guns and Accessory. Of course, Sam has presented for us before, so he's back by popular demand. And he's going to come and give us a little bit of an update about what's been going on. So, Sam, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'll just excited to be here. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk. I'm just going to cover a couple brief history points and then talk about where we are now. So I'll just get this thing going. Fair enough for everybody? All right. So again, the Rock Guns and Accessories was started as an answer to something that I experienced as a younger person being in Fayetteville, dealing with, trying to purchase and obtain firearms. So as we get a little more into it, you'll see kind of more what I'm talking about, I hope. But again, it was just to provide a more customer focused experience when it comes to obtaining a firearm. For whatever capacity you have, whether it's for that feeling of security at home, I want to understand these things so I can use it to protect myself, all the way to I'm into the sports involving shooting and want to get the best quality products out there. So this is kind of an overview. We were founded in 2017, pretty much right after I retired from the U.S. Army, spent 20 years in the Army, and decided instead of going into a real job, I'd dump my life savings into this and see what happens. So essentially, we didn't take any bank loans. We didn't take anything but our own money that I saved over the years to get this thing going. And the idea was being, as you see at the bottom of the slide there, open our doors in 2018 and eventually expand into our own indoor facility, indoor range, classrooms, full spectrum kind of thing. So you could just show up and get a class, find a firearm you like, go shoot it, see if you like it, and go from there. All that being said is the 2018 opening in our original location is what I call a proof of concept. We can start a business, we can make this thing grow, and we know what we're doing because so we have a history when we start approaching the people for supporting us on the expansion. After about 2.5 years of being in business at the original location, we expanded to a bigger spot. So we went from about 2,000 square feet into about 4,000 square foot facility, which was great because we were able to build a new facility to meet all of our needs for the expansion. And so far, we're still growing into this space, but we're already running out of room here. So it was really exciting to experience that growth inside of this. And that's what you see on the second move to interim facility bullet there back in 2020. And in December last year, 2020, we moved into this new space, which was great because, again, it was outfitted to what we desired, not having to adjust to the space we were given initially. So what we're looking at is hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years from that move is to start the process of building and creating our own facility. And as you see, looking out into the 10-year mark from the 2020, eventually franchise this thing and look at that exit strategy for myself, because really I created this not to just build a name for myself, but to support the community. And hopefully we'll see some of those points emphasized as I continue running my mouth here. This slide is just to show, once again, the history of the name The Rock Guns comes from World War II in the operation to take the Philippines back from the Japanese under General MacArthur. And there was a airborne operation to secure the Philippines, which they jumped onto Corregidor Island in the Philippines, which that island earned its nickname The Rock. And chose that name because my grandfather, the guy there on the left and right in those photographs, was part of that operation. He jumped onto the island, was wounded after 3 days in the fight, and he was medically retired from the military because he was blinded by his injuries, but eventually got into owning several businesses and getting into real estate, and did really well for himself post-military. And we just like to honor him and everyone before us through the name The Rock Guns. So that's pretty exciting. Another cool part is that organization, that unit, the Rock, still exists in the military. So some of the guys who work here actually served in that military unit. So it's pretty cool to have that history tied into where we are in North Carolina. And again, there's my grandfather at the hardware store he owned post World War II. Background for me, this business we have, we're a type 7 FFL and a type 2 SOT, which means we have a manufacturer in firearms license. We build our own firearms here and have that capability. And the SOT is our special occupational tax, which is basically the government giving us permission to build up to machine guns if we wanted to. And we have that capability here in this business. So I'll get a little more into what sets us apart. Myself, I founded this, majority owner of the organization right now. I did 20 years in the Army, retired in 2017. There's my little life story there. Did military intelligence and moved into special forces. And lessons learned along the way, we hope to apply in our lives forever, but some of that's definitely applied to this business as well. And again, we were incorporated in North Carolina in 2017, and that was just me learning the process of filling out the paperwork, paying the money. Now you're an official business. And then from there, it's just been a learning experience on how to make all this work and how it all fits into the big picture, from North Carolina Department of Revenue to the IRS to local Chamber of Commerce type stuff. So again, we're tied into a bigger network than I initially realized, but I will say that the programs offered by Fayetteville Tech have proved integral in our success, just because that's given us the direction and guidance we've needed to move in a positive direction and not go in circles. And again, we started basically, in my mind, identifying gaps in the market in Fayetteville and finding solutions to that. You'll see that a little more. So little things I like to say, we say this in the beginning quite a bit. We are not a pawn shop that sells guns. And that's what you see the majority of Fayetteville being. There's another revenue stream that supports the firearms part of the business. Every gun store, except for the major chains, are associated with some sort of pawn shop at some level. So we didn't want to be that same organization. Our focus being on customer service. So customer experience, defining everything. What do they say? People don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel, kind of thing. And we just kind of embrace that to where I'm not trying to get a quick dollar out of you and move you on down the line. I'm trying to create a relationship with you, so you'll continue to come back and get served and get what you need, not what I want to sell you to get the most percentage out of that. And finally, we've always looked at quality over anything else. Our name is attached to everything that leaves this building, whether it's a custom firearm we built or work we've done to somebody. So that reflects on us across the board. So that's very important to us to maintain that level of quality in all that we do. And we also don't sell certain items, certain companies' items, because it doesn't fit our level of quality when it comes to that. So again, we started with this idea of being kind of more of a boutique experience versus just a chain store. And we've adjusted to the market since we've started and learned about that. And the bottom line is that freedom of choice, having options versus you will get this thing on the wall that I'm telling you you need. Let you have the choice, let you work with this. And that's really done well, I think, for our customers, especially the guys and gals who keep coming back, because we gave them that kind of freedom of choice. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow through like that. A couple ideas is we will sit down with you and find out what your budget is, what you intend to do with the firearm, and we'll build it around that. So once again, I'm not just trying to sell you what's here on the wall. I'll take the time to build you exactly what you want. So instead of a rifle that you're going to replace in a year because you're frustrated with it, this thing should be something you hand down to your kids and pass down. So something we're built to last is the bottom line. And again, we have a whole part of our business is the custom builds and the services around that, where we'll start from the very beginning and you'll walk out of there with exactly what you wanted. So that's been the most rewarding part of this experience so far. All right, so just covering some of the services offered, and I'll talk a little more in depth about each of these since we started. So originally we started in just wanting to sell firearms, and lesson learned quickly in this is that it is still one of our major revenue streams, what generates a lot of return, but the margins on firearms themselves are among the worst in any industry that you could come across. I'm lucky to get 20% out of selling a firearm. So what we do is kind of look at it as a car dealer. They don't make money off selling a brand new car. Where do they make money off of is all the services they offer, maintenance, repairs, upgrades, things like that. So that's kind of our model as well, where I'll sell you brand new whatever, but usually what keeps you involved with us is the customization that we do following that purchase. And we've even gone so far as to have people tell people, hey, you'll get a better deal down the street at store X, but bring it to us and we'll make it exactly what you want it to be. So then that led to building relationships with other businesses to find what are their strengths versus what are our strengths, and we work together. So now I have one of the biggest gun stores in the city sending people to us on a daily basis because we provide what they don't provide. And so we're not trying to challenge everyone and push them out. We're trying to build a community where you get what you need here, then go over here to get the upgrades, and then go over here to go shoot your gun. So again, not just trying to take over the whole market. Let's grow together so we all mutually support each other. I think that's a better long-term strategy for the community versus just saying I'm the top dog, everyone else get the heck out of here. So but again, firearm sales has been consistent. The hardest challenge here has been demand, which we're finally seeing a return to, being able to get the products that we need to get to the customers after all the COVID madness that's been happening over the last few years. Cerakote is the next one, and this is probably one of our biggest ones and most consistent categories that we get a return on. And what's great about Cerakote, it's a small, there was investment initially, but now it's kind of low overhead and just big returns on that. And here's some examples of the work we've done. Cerakote is short for ceramic coating. So what we do is remove the original finish on a firearm and replace it with this essentially paint that is rust-proof, chip-proof, resistant to all the elements. So now I have a finish that will protect your firearm for the rest of your life, or the rest of the life of the firearm. But we also have a variety of colors and patterns. So there's some examples. You're not just dedicated to that one, changing it to one color. We can do all the way up to airbrush designs and that kind of thing. Who's trying to control my screen? I'm going to decline that. We'll talk about that later. But again, there's some examples. And as far as the Cerakote's concerned, another great thing is we don't just do firearms. We can do car parts. We've done sunglasses, guitars. That little belt there was for a unit on Fort Bragg for their top team for whatever competition they had. So it's cool to have that expanding capability in the Cerakote realm. We've done car rims. That's a brake caliper right there. So again, we can expand on just the Cerakote itself to get outside of the firearms realm. And another big one we're seeing opportunities in is with the music, the guitars. We're working with a guitar company, DiMarzio. I'm sorry. They're famous for pickups, and they're an international company, but they came to us to do some Cerakote work for them. We have a special project, so please keep that low key for now. But we're pretty excited about these opportunities outside of just the firearms industry. As far as gunsmithing services, this is still one of our top revenue streams, what brings in a steady stream of money, just because we're the only shop within about 50-60 mile radius that provides these services. So we're a one-stop shop for everything you need firearms related, all the way to where if we can't find the part, we can make it. And we've done that with example, there was a machine gun built prior to World War I that we built parts for and got functional again. So it's pretty exciting to see those opportunities and capabilities. No one else in the area does that, especially the capabilities we have under one roof. And as far as accessories, all the related items from gun bags to ammunition to aftermarket parts and holsters we provide. Another thing we do is the Kydex holsters. So we can make a custom holster based on your firearm, and you're only limited there by your imagination. Hence the ninja sword at the bottom there. We can make it work with just about anything to provide that resource. So again, it's really exciting to have people come in with something, a desire that we translate, and they walk out happy with exactly what they need. And this is another one that's great because it's pretty low overhead for big returns. And then finally, the laser engraving. This last year was a milestone because for the investment I made into this laser that we use, we were able to pay that off and be completely out of debt on that one item. So it's kind of cool to have that completely belong to us, because lesson I've learned is, what do they say? You got to spend money to make money, but we did take some big steps in investing in all these items that we have. And it's nice to see the return on that. But again, we can take any image and customize a firearm by doing the laser engraving. For example, that one in the middle was, again, that's a personal heirloom that's going to stay in the family for a long time. And we've done that quite a bit. Restoration work being another big one we do. And then finally, the custom builds. We can, like I said at the beginning, we can start from the ground up based on your budget and go from there. So if you have $800, I can build you a functional firearm that will last you forever and serve your needs. Or if you want, just like that top left firearm there, that was about a $5,000 rifle that a guy wanted. And we built it for him, got it up and running, and he was really happy with it. So it's just fun to be able to provide these opportunities. And there's some other examples. We consider, what I love about this is I'm an artist as my background. That was always been my passion. So we can kind of translate that into this new realm. Not only firearms, but now we're getting into car parts and a couple other areas as well. So it's pretty cool. And then finally, Nfa items. What that means is items that require more, basically the government just wants more money from you to use these things, but they're like the short barreled rifles, things that only the military use, or so silencers and suppressors. We offer that service to help anyone acquire one of these things. So we work with you through the whole process. So that's still a big item for us, where we get a lot of guys and gals purchasing these things, and they come through us because we're certified by the government to hold on to these things until that person gets their paperwork. And then let's see, looking at this analysis here, my SWOT analysis, again, things that we consider our strengths are still our customer service experience. That's something that it's nice to see people leave saying, man, that was a really awesome place. I'm glad that I showed up here. And let's see. All right. The range of services under one roof. Again, no one offers this capability to this degree within probably at least 50 miles radius. So it's like no one else in Fayetteville does what we do. Location, we've recently moved. Like I said, we started in a small location, but now we moved into this about 4,000 square foot facility that we built from the ground up right next to General Jackson's, the biggest military store in Fayetteville. Every big exercise or event that happens in the Army, that place gets crowded. So it's nice being right next door to them, because we provide everything they don't offer and vice versa. So I can get my boots and laces and bags over there, come over here and get my weapon customized, my firearm customized, and get the pouches I need for this deployment coming up. So again, it's just nice to be able to answer that need in a convenient location, and parking being another big issue that we dealt with at the last place, which is a glorious thing here because we have enough space to facilitate all that. And then again, the services offered to the depth that they're offered is something that was important for us. Weaknesses, running through those. This is my biggest one still. Daily, people walk in, I talk to them, give them a tour, and they say, I had no idea you guys existed. Where have you been my whole life? So on a daily basis, it's just the challenge of outreach to make people aware of we're here. We do radio ads on Rock 103. We have our Instagram, Facebook, social media advertising. And those have proven effective to keep the word out. It's just, again, continue to try to make it grow. because again, there's 1,000 ideas of how to get the word out there. Those have proven the most effective so far. Limited return on the radio ads, but to me, it's important to keep the name constantly out there and grow that awareness. Funding being another one. Once again, this is a bootstrap business. I have started out never wanting to deal with banks. Don't get me started on all that stuff. And again, it's just based on my history, my credit score, everything is going against me to start this business. And I've been to so many little classes where we have successful business owners speak, everyone's happy, then the banks come along and they say, well, you know, unless you have $1 million, we're not going to give you $1 million. So good luck starting your business unless, again, everything's already in place. So if you don't have the money, that's too bad. We're not going to help you. So funding is always a challenge because banks still won't come near me based on the decisions I made, the challenges I took to reach to this point. So it's the constant back and forth. But all of that being said, as I call that world according to Sam, and that's just been my personal experience. So there's always better ways to get there. But again, funding is always a challenge just because we're a small business. So every dollar I get doesn't go in my pocket. It goes back into the business to make this thing grow. And that's just part of the process of what we're in our 3rd year in business. So it's been exciting to have expanded as quickly as we have, but we're still a small business. We accept that. Next is our operational time. And what that means is just turnaround times on getting work done. We've really taken steps over the years to improve that, but initially just systems, that's what I really focus on, is systems in place to account for all the work that comes in and to make sure it gets done in a timely manner. And we've really improved that over the years, but it's still something I don't want to turn my back on. So I'll continue to categorize that as a weakness. And then the zoning, that just has to do with as we move into the next phase and start scouting out these properties that we want, zoning is going to be a challenge just based on not only the city deciding what areas are zoned for what, but also making adjustments to that as needed, because we can apply for a change in the zoning based on where we want to put this thing. But we're at the mercy of someone else, the city, for example, to approve or deny that request. And that being said, to me, it's tied into the funding is our capabilities. We can only do so much with what we have. So the dream is to bring in another amount of capital to invest in the machines and the personnel that will help us move into the next phase. Not only this indoor range we talked about, but manufacturing as well. We have at least 10 different proprietary, custom items we have created. We just need a means to manufacture them efficiently, and all of that costs money. So eventually moving into that space is what we're looking at doing. As far as opportunities, government contracts, that's something that I've been fighting since day one because this market, I didn't start this business to deal with and take money from the government. I started this business to create a relationship with the community. And to me, they're still a bit mutually exclusive. Government contracts and chasing those doesn't do me any favors in building relationships with the public. So I'd rather focus on repeat customers and people feeling welcome and wanting to be here versus just focusing on what can I take from Fort Bragg to line my pockets kind of thing. And again, this is, you'll hear opinions in a lot of these areas, but again, any questions on that, I'll talk more about after this. Partnerships, we do work with a lot of other companies and organizations. My favorite are the nonprofits that we support, from the Green Beret Foundation to Memorial 3-Gun Foundation, and they're all fundraisers for veterans. I myself, being a veteran and having lost friends on deployments, it's important to me that we do something to take care of their families and who else was affected by this. So that's where I really like to focus our partnerships, but we also have partnerships with other organizations, manufacturers, to be the representative in this city for that company. And again, that's looking at nonprofits and other manufacturers that will work with eventually. And then again, this expansion that we've initially had last year, settling into this so we can sustain this model for a certain period of time before we move into the next phase. And all of this is just to prove that, yes, we can create a business and make it grow. And now, as I'm approaching whoever for this next round of funding, yeah, we're able to make that money grow. And then finally, threats. Of course, there's competitors. People since day one have noticed what we've done, and they're trying to copy that and emulate that. But we're one step ahead. We just have to maintain that lead, and that stems from focusing on what we're good at: our gunsmithing, our customer service, and the services we offer. So always being aware of who else is out there, because there's always someone around the corner trying to kind of move into that space. Talking about administrations, we did see a big change from the previous administration to this one, and I'm expecting more changes as we go. As we know, the firearms is a very volatile, very contentious industry to be involved in, and has been for a long time. And there's times when I struggle with feeling like I'm profiteering from people's pain, because as soon as there's a bad event or a threat to firearms, people start going crazy. COVID being a good example. Our revenue almost doubled from 2019 to 2020. And a lot of that had to do with the panic that people felt over COVID and people's reaction to that. And there was another event over a decade ago, which we weren't open, but we did see that there was, I think it was a mass shooting kind of thing. People started talking about how firearms need to go away from the public's access. So what did that lead to? Huge sales. And then finally, what was the big one? They call it the Trump Slump. And that's about when we started, where people were buying guns and firearms accessories like crazy up until Trump got elected, and then everyone stopped. And some manufacturers, a lot, actually went bankrupt or out of business because they had this expectation for demand being this high. And then Trump got elected. Oh, he's not going to take away our guns. So it went down to this. So people were just sitting on excess inventory that they spent all this money on that they couldn't get rid of. So again, as we see with the current administration, I expect that in the next 2-3 years that will continue to be targeted. And again, they're going to find a way to push companies like mine into a corner or out of business completely. So we're constantly feeling the effects of that. And then finally, the administrations, what do they put into place? Regulations. For example, North Carolina being what I call the California of the East Coast, the governor has a lot of initiatives to limit people's access to firearms for whatever reason. And a good example is the pistol purchase permit that you have to get in North Carolina. To buy a handgun, you have to basically get permission from the state. They voted to get rid of that, and it's gone so far, but we're expecting the government to veto that initiative. But if you look at the whole history of this pistol purchase permit, it's an unconstitutional law. But the state can implement that because that's the administration's win there. So regulations are always going to be a challenge for us, just because it's a constantly evolving thing. And so again, we're still looking at this expansion of our capabilities as in the next up to 5 years. I'm actually looking more into manufacturing than the indoor range facility. And the reason for that is because a lot of indoor ranges have suffered over the last year and a half because of COVID, because of the ammunition manufacturing crisis. So ammunition manufacturers couldn't make the products they needed to make. So therefore, indoor ranges didn't have ammunition for people to buy. So then no one wanted to go use that ammunition because it was so expensive. So therefore, I have all these empty lanes because no one wants to go shoot because of the cost. All right. So again, I'm looking more into manufacturing as a long-term, more sustainable capability for the organization. I think that's going to be a more stable long-term growth experience versus opening the indoor range. That's going to be more of a personal pet project at this time, because I still feel like Fayetteville needs that improvement in those capabilities. once again, increase presence and awareness. Who can we get involved with? Who can we get the word out to? Who can we get in front of to let people know who we are and what we do? So just continue to explore ways to expand our marketing outreach, other relationships we can build in the community, and then finally building of the brand. What makes us different? I do understand that, we're unique, just like everyone else, but in all seriousness, again, what sets us apart from everyone else? And my intent being that the quality of our work standing the test of time versus just being a cool gimmick that tries to get people's attention for the short term. We don't want to be a passing fad. We want to be a consistent provider for the services we offer. And again, kind of explaining that, we want to avoid any, again, kitschy type approaches to what we do. All right, so once again, my biggest issue is getting the word out. We do have a national audience. We have sold things and worked with people as far away as Oregon. But again, just to continue to build that capability, that outreach, so people know they could send things to us, get the work done in a timely manner, and get it returned. And a lot of that has to do with these bullets that you see me bringing up. A lot of it being, to me, just tying into something that people believe in. And the veteran community is kind of our home because we're all veterans here. So again, just tying into that big picture, the one of the best references for what I'm imagining is that company, Black Rifle Coffee. If you've never heard of them, look into them. They're a huge success in maintaining true to their roots in the veteran community as what that represents on the positive side, but they've also been marketing geniuses and have just recently gone public. They're a really good example of kind of where we want to put ourselves one day in regards to here's who we represent in a good way, not any gimmicks, and again, trying to just continue to build that strong reputation. We do events to support the community. One thing we've been doing recently is we call them parking lot parties, where we'll block off our parking lot and we'll have live music, other businesses set up booths, have their displays up, invite the public for free food and beer sometimes, and have axe throwing and just events for everyone to do. So the idea being is just to pull people in to show that there's these other organizations out there, from off-road outreach, which helps veterans, to Fit for Life. And everyone will come set up and just hang out for the day. And as people come into our business, they'll see all these other things going on and, sign up for memberships. So we're just trying to support other businesses in the community as well. And so we're also looking at working with different organizations in the area for shooting events, sponsoring these kind of things, whether it's my skeet shooting at the shotguns or 3-gun, or women and youth outreach as well. The classes is another big one. Fundraising events, we're always trying to look into those and help out as we can. Military units as well. And again, activities to help raise awareness. There's still some public outreach that we'd like to do. We've just been bogged down in everything else, so we haven't developed that to its full capability yet. So as you saw, I just went to that last slide. That kind of covers all the big picture stuff. So again, I appreciate you guys letting me talk for this few minutes. I hope that there was some knowledge gained in my running my mouth.
Sam, thanks so much. And I absolutely love the name and the idea of the parking lot event. Absolutely fantastic. We do have some questions in the chat. Many of the questions are coming from entrepreneurship students here at Fayetteville Tech. One question from Quentin is he would like to know if you do any bluing of weapons.
Yes, we do. We do cold bluing, and we also have the capability of hot bluing. We're just working on setting up the tanks because that takes up a lot of space that we don't currently have. So yes, we do.
Okay. Also, Warren would like to know, after starting your business in 2018, how long did it take before you started seeing a profit?
I'm still waiting for that. No, I'm just kidding. Really, it was 2020 is where things turned around. And with 2018, we opened our doors in April 2018, got our butts kicked for that year. 2019 is where we really dialed things in and figured out the market. So what started as my idea of these products, I found out that Fayetteville doesn't really want. They want this over here. So being able to make those adjustments, being a small business makes us very agile. So we made those adjustments quickly. And that's kind of what led to our success, is just understanding the market we're in. So it took time. Again, we're still fine tuning that on a daily basis to get the best return for what we're doing. But it took about a good year and a half before we started seeing good returns. But once that started, it's like the floodgates open, and that's what gave us this opportunity to move into this bigger space and invest in new machines and expand into where we are now.
Fantastic. And so we have another question. As for getting the word out, do you set up at gun shows or have a booth there as well? And if so, does that help get the word out to gun communities?
Yes. So we did a lot of events in the beginning, which was effective, but the challenge with that was the time constraints and the personnel constraints. So again, we're a small team. So to have someone work Monday through Friday and then say, hey, we need you Saturday for all day and Sunday for a gun show, that proves challenging. So it's just finding that balance between continuing to keep a presence and not burning ourselves out. Because me, as an example, I'm here 5 days a week, 6 days sometimes, but I also have 4 kids and a wife and other people who depend on me. So how far do we want to stretch ourselves out? So we took a break from that for a while to focus on our systems, but now we're getting back into going to gun shows and some other events. But we just have learned to have a strategic plan with that and don't just try to inundate and be everywhere at once.
Is Gunbroker an option for you? Would that?
We sell things on Gunbroker. And I guess I'll mention that now. I'm glad you brought that up, because over the years, we started out as just this, we're kind of small business working with local community kind of thing. That's still our focus, but we have a Gunbroker page. So we sell things on Gunbroker. We have drop shipping now. So you go to our website and you can order things to get sent straight to your house through our website. So again, we're national. You can go anywhere in the country and buy something from us on our website if you find a good deal there. So finding these other revenue streams, so to speak. And the classes is another one. We do concealed carry classes, as well as basic pistol, basic rifle classes. So we'll take a private individual and do it with you, or a group, and just run you through everything you need to know when it comes to using and owning a firearm. And that's also been proven to be a good initiative for us, because there's a lot of interest in that. I hope I answered the question.
You did. Thank you. Warren also wants to know, what was the most difficult obstacle you faced and how'd you overcome that?
Let me think. That's a good one, because I'll say this. One thing that surprised me was how easy it was to get everything we have. I was concerned about getting our federal firearms license, but that took no time at all. I was concerned about getting permission through zoning and the city to occupy this space and do what we do in this building, and that wasn't a challenge at all either. So the biggest challenge has been really just understanding what our limits are and not overreaching. But we've obviously run into financial challenges, challenges with regulations, but those have been minimal compared to just again, we're kind of a family here. So just finding solutions to meet customers' needs in a timely manner. So yeah, that's a good question, because it's been a wild ride, but biggest challenge I'll have to go back to is just saying mainly dealing with financial institutions. They don't like us because insurance companies hate us because we're in the firearms industry, so no one wants to mess with that. And banks don't want to deal with this because it's such a volatile market. It's not a steady. If we were in computers and software, it'd be an easy day. But again, that's not where we stand. So it's just again trying to prove that we have a capability that's worth pursuing. But yeah, as far as challenges, I would say the biggest one is just again the funding has been the biggest one.
I want to follow up on that before Lori moves on to the next question. I remember when you were talking about the challenges you have with funding. Do you think some of that is influenced by people's attitudes toward your product? Do you feel that?
Yes, somewhat, because an example is as soon as you say guns, that cuts off at least 50 to 60% of any financial institutions that might work with you. And that's just based on that one word, not what you're doing. But again, your options go like to this very quickly. And then it just compounds from there, because unless you're Remington and have these huge returns every year, banks are going to say, well, I don't see you really doing as well as we'd like you to, so we're not interested in helping you at all. Does that make sense? So what is it for me? Book that changed my life, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And I say that because I'm not doing this to make money to go on vacation in my mega yacht in the Caribbean. I'm doing this because I feel like the community needs and will benefit from what we're doing. And I'd rather be remembered as that guy than someone who just made a lot of money off this cool new product that everyone absolutely needs.
Thank you. And John has a question, wants to know, do you have certified instructors to teach concealed carry courses or any other weapons safety courses?
So yes, I teach, and so does Diego and Mark, and we're all NRA certified instructors, as well as to teach concealed carry North Carolina, you need to go through their classes and they get their cut. So yes, we all are certified to teach the courses we do. It's not just a bunch of dudes saying, yeah, I saw a gun once and now I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. No, but we have those capabilities. We're all certified in that.
So we have a question from Miss Milligan's business student. Where do you do your advertising in regards to your events? So when you're going to do the parking lot event, where do you advertise those?
What we've been doing for the last several is social media being the big one. And so this last one, we partnered with, I don't know if I'm allowed to name the businesses, but about 6 or 7 other businesses, from men's grooming to fit for life type of, gyms, to shooting ranges and veterans, fundraising. There was a canine outreach group, but anyways, so the way we advertise is we'll post it, and then these other companies will post on their social media for all their followers. So that's kind of the main approach we've taken to all of this. And the big part of that is that it's pretty inexpensive to post on Instagram and Facebook versus paying someone to go, print flyers and put them on mailboxes or however else people might advertise. The radio, like I said, it's a limited return for the money we pay every month. But again, it's important to me to keep our name out there because the timing of the ads is important as well. So that's all we're doing right now.
All right, thank you. And so you mentioned other markets that you were trying to tap into, like the music industry with the guitar. How do you try to reach a market that isn't specifically interested in guns?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the people who are interested in guns are pretty specific about what they're interested in guns, and people who aren't interested in guns, yet are going to have no interest at all. So trying to cross over has been a challenge, but the biggest thing we've tried to do in regards to that is focus more on less on the firearm itself, but more on the capabilities it brings. If you listen to one of our radio ads, it talks about a young lady saying, I know that there are threats out there to my safety. How can I answer that? Come talk to us, and we'll talk to you about not only the basics on keeping yourself safe and aware, but how a firearm can help benefit you in that. So it's focused more on what is it when you go to the hardware store, you're not paying for the drill, you're paying for the quality of hole in the wall it makes. So just focusing on the bigger picture of safety in my home. The world is becoming a scarier place. When was it last year? I was in front of my business with a rifle, and so was my son and 10 other friends, because they were burning they tried to burn the market house down. They were looting the mall and the Walmart down the street from us. So everyone knows the world's becoming a more volatile place. We can provide solutions for that when it comes to your safety.
So we have another question in the chat, and then I have a question, and I'm going to open it up to everyone else. Christina says that the increased gun violence that Fayetteville has experienced this year, have you ever thought about any classes or events to promote gun safety or youth gun violence prevention?
Absolutely, and that's there's a program through the NRA. What is it, Eddie the Eagle, and it caters all the way down to toddlers when it comes to gun safety. And I think that it is important for us as we proceed to have a voice that answers that question about what are we doing to promote the other side of things, gun safety, reducing gun violence, and community outreach kind of thing. So that's something that I want to approach intelligently, and it's something that's I'd say it's in the works, so we can actually set these things up. But yeah, that's a really good question. It's a really good point to bring across, because I know Fayetteville has seen a rise over the last year in violent crimes to include shootings. And what is it? The big one there is enforcing the current laws is a big deal. When we were in front of our building the night of the riots where they looted the mall, the police actually came by the business, and there's 5 or 6 of us outside with rifles and pistols ready to defend this property, defend our business. And the police came by and they told us, essentially, our job is to do nothing. Our boss told us we can't get involved. So if anything happens, do what you need to do and then call us, but we're not allowed to physically get in between all these events. So again, it's on us to promote the safety and things that are out there, but how can we influence leadership in the communities to also work to enforce these laws? Because again, it's not the legal gun owner who we tend to find doing a drive-by shooting or getting in a violent altercation. It's the illegal gun owners. Where the heck are they getting these guns? So how do we cut that off? So we have policies here in place at the store. If I don't like the way you look, you seem suspicious in any manner, I can refuse to sell you this firearm. And that's where the law is on my side to support that. So again, just ensuring that we support the right means for people to obtain these things so they get in the right hands.
So today it seems like I tried to order ammunition, and it's very difficult to get. Are you having a problem with shortages, and how are you addressing that?
Absolutely. Ammunition is such a big issue right now because based on US manufacturing laws, the people who created the ammunition, they had every component but one, which isn't made in the United States, it's made overseas. And because of COVID, those countries ran into shortages, which led to the United States having shortages. So you had a manufacturer who had part A, B, and D, They just needed part C, which they couldn't get. So C is finally coming back into the country. It's finally becoming available, but it's still very, it's not as accessible as we'd like. So we're seeing a rise in manufacturing, a recovery, so to speak, but it's still slow. So we used to have cases of ammo. Now, if I have its formula down. It's like 20 minutes per 1,000 rounds of ammunition that I get in the business. It's going to be in the store for about 20 minutes because people see that we have it. And they come sweep it off the shelves, like because the manufacturing is still not caught up with demand. It's changing, but we're still in this huge deficit. And I talked to business not too long ago. What did they say? They're over 2 million rounds behind on manufacturing. That's just for the government and police contracts. That's not even for the public to use. So yeah, the ammunition shortage has been a big deal, which is another issue that's turned us away from the indoor range idea. Because if I don't have ammo to sell you to use on the range, you're not going to come use it. That answer your question? Okay, I feel like I'm rambling, so please excuse me.
It did, Sam. Thanks a bunch. We have another question from Ron. He says, you say that financing is your biggest issue. How much money are you looking for? What would it specifically be used for? And how would you assure the lender of your ability for repayment?
All right, so I do have an itemized list of where this money would go, what we want to use it to buy for it. How much I'll disclose to the right person with the right non-disclosures. And as far as the return on that, how do we guarantee? What do we have? We just have collateral in the business and my personal side. So again, all legitimate questions that all banks want to know. And again, we do have the answers to that. The nightmare for me is just leading up to this moment where I'm getting this money in the account to quantify that. Then again, I just thrashed my credit in the process trying to get this thing going. So I did spend a year and a half of my life, like I said, dumping my life savings and everything I had into this thing to make it happen. So I took a big risk, and now I'm still paying for it in regards to this inability to make the banks happy. But again, I go back to the beginning of the business when all I had was a certain amount in my account, and I asked the bank for a certain amount of money, and they said, well, you need to have basically what I wanted to borrow. I already needed to have that in my account before they would give it to me. So I said, well, if I have it, why don't I just spend my own money and not deal with you people? So that was kind of my attitude at the time. So I hope that answers the question. I don't want to get too specific because
it does, Sam. Thank you very much.
I don't want to get. I'd love to give you those numbers, but I'm apprehensive.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Do we have any other questions for Sam?
Hi, Sam. I have a question. I'm sure you're familiar with Defender out in Rayford.
Absolutely.
And they make their own ammo, and I know that they take, like, from the shells, they take the copper, and I guess it's copper to use towards putting towards their ammo. Do you have any plans of doing that?
No, and again, Defenders, they're one of our biggest manufacturers that we're a dealer for. We have, again, whenever they have a certain allotted amount that we've ordered, we'll go pick it up and get it in the store to sell. But again, my intent there is I want to support Defender by maybe collecting this once we have our range and working out a deal with them so they get the brass they need to continue to manufacture. But I have no intention of getting into manufacturing ammunition because that belongs to them. And I want them to succeed in that. And I just want to support that endeavor for them. I want to focus on custom firearms on our end. Did that answer your question?
So Sam, before Lori takes the last question, because we're almost out of time, you have a lot of would-be entrepreneurs here, and some that have already started with their passions. What's one piece of advice you'd give somebody starting out?
my big thing is I tell this to everybody because this has not been my life history. And it's my 3 words I tell everyone: have a plan. But more importantly, if you want to be an entrepreneur, one of my jokes is, you know, you have extreme athletes like people who base jumpers and, you know, skydivers and all these extreme sports people. They have nothing on an entrepreneur, because if they get hurt, they get hurt. If I screw up, my whole family doesn't eat, right? So now I have 7 lives affected by my decisions versus that one because you're a cool guy skydiving. But in all seriousness, if you don't firmly believe in what you're doing and you're just doing it for the money, go get a job. That's the bottom line for me, because I've gone months with no money. But the reward has been that one customer who says, you're exactly what I needed in my life. You've made my life easier and better, and I'll be back. So I say having a bigger vision is more important than focusing on what's going to make me money, because there's money everywhere. If you want it, you'll find a way to get there. But again, if you don't have a belief in what you're doing, go get a real job.
Thank you. Lori?
Yep.
Thank you, Sam. That's great advice. And we really appreciate the fantastic presentation today. I'm going to take the last question for today. What can this community do for you? How can we help you?
That's a good question. Tell me, no, let me think about that. What can the community do for us? Really, I think I need to go back to finding how we can best serve the community. And I think, yeah, just all I can say is, like, go check us out. Go to our accounts, our website, our social media, Facebook, Instagram, at The Rock Guns, and yeah, just provide your thoughts and feedback, and tell us what you would benefit from, because the only reason I want to do this every day is to answer those needs. But yeah, I just I want to continue to pursue business partnerships and relationships with not only businesses but people. And yeah, that you caught me off guard with that one. Now I'm a little like flustered. But yeah, it's a good question.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. What a fantastic presentation. In the midst of Global Entrepreneurship Week here at Fayetteville Tech, it was a pleasure having you, Sam. We hope that you'll come back in the future, give us another update. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. We have a speaker tomorrow as well at 1 o'clock. Hopefully you've already registered, but if not, you should get the registration link for that. And next Wednesday, for 1MC, we have Cope Notes that will be here to come and tell us a little bit about their business. So I hope you'll join us for that. You guys have a fantastic day. See you next week, or hopefully tomorrow, but next week for 1MC for sure. Have a great day. Thank you so much, Sam. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.